It was a real shock to find out that I in fact had an anencephalic baby. They said there was a real high incidence of anencephalic babies in South Texas at that time, and I was in San Antonio, because of something that was in the water. They just couldn't understand why so many anencephalic babies were being born, much, much higher than the normal incidence across the country. And they narrowed it down to something that was in the water there. Of course, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, it's probably because of the abortion I had in 1970. But we're 15 years down the road. I knew I'd been forgiven for that abortion. But I couldn't stop thinking, hey, this could be a result of something from that time in my life, because I was not living pure at that time. I was on my knees wanting to come into God's kingdom, and the first words out of my mouth were, Lord, forgive me for killing my baby. That's when I knew it was that important to Him, because I hadn't thought of it. I wasn't walking around full of guilt at that time, but I certainly had the lifestyle of someone who was post-abortive, and that was very much into alcohol, partying, drugs, relationships. When you deliver, and I delivered a stillborn at 7 months, there's no guilt. Well, being an RN, I had learned that it's much healthier always to carry a pregnancy to term, for the mechanisms, for the processes, for the body to be able to fully recover, for a baby to go and be delivered in a natural, timely way. That's much healthier. There's a much higher incidence of breast cancer for terminating a pregnancy. It has to do with the estrogen levels and that kind of thing. It's always healthier to take a baby fully to term than to terminate or to have an abortion or anything like that. After I delivered, the nurses, the doctor, nobody would let me hold my baby. That baby, they said, it just is so deformed, you just never would be able to get it out of your mind. So they never did let me, and I asked 3 times, please, and I know as a nurse, you're supposed to let a mother, even if the baby's stillborn, hold that child. But they were afraid what I would think, because the baby had no arms, no legs, and had flippers instead, and then no brain. It was just very deformed. Well, a year down the road, a friend of mine was delivering a baby, and that baby was actually born dead as a result of the birth process. It was very a big shock to them. They named her after my firstborn, and so we were at the graveside funeral that day. And I knew I had put my oldest, who was about 2 years old at the time, in the with a babysitter, and I thought, I saw her walking across the cemetery grounds, and there was a little girl beside her, dark curly hair, cute as a button, about 1 year old. And I blinked a few times. I said, Lord, Alyssa's at the babysitter. What's that? Who is that? And He said, that little girl with her is April Joy. I just wanted you to see her. I just wanted you to see her. See, that whole year, I was just plagued with, yeah, she has no brain and flippers. No brain and flippers. I could never picture her even as a baby. And the Lord wanted me to see how cute she was. And that was the first time seeing her on the cemetery grounds there, just walking hand in hand with my firstborn, who wasn't there. It was just a vision that I grieved for. I just really missed having that precious April Joy. Not long after I had that baby with anancephaly, a girlfriend of mine living down in Galveston was diagnosed with an anencephalic baby alive in the womb. And they were considering, were they going to abort or were they not, what they were, because the doctors all encouraged them, this baby isn't going to live long. If he lives at all outside the womb, they just can't. So they didn't know what to do. And my husband and I drove down to Galveston to meet with them. Like I said, it was an issue of the water in South Texas, and she was also a victim of this situation. And we took them out to dinner, and we just really encouraged them not to choose abortion on so many reasons. It's just wrong for the body. The body doesn't understand terminating a pregnancy in midstream, so to say. But even more than that, perhaps, the guilt that she continued to feel because she did choose abortion. She felt guilty. Some babies with anencephaly actually get delivered, and the mother and the father get a chance to hold that baby and love on that baby. When they terminate, they never get that chance. There's so many reasons to let God have His way.